Hello friends, today we are going to look at two golden rules of scaling using clones. Let's first understand what is scaling using clones. So in this approach, we scale our application by cloning our servers. So in one server world, we deploy our application code base on one server. But let's say our traffic increased and now a single server is not enough to serve all the requests. So to scale our application, what we do is we clone our single server into multiple servers. Okay, so let's say you have one Tomcat running. Now to scale it, we will run our code base on, let's say, multiple Tomcat, let's say 5 Tomcat servers. Okay, so that's what is scaling using clones. We create clone of our servers. So now let's look at the two golden rules for scaling using clones. The first rule is same code base running on all the clones. This is important because uh, if the same code base is not there on all the clones, then our application will behave differently. When we put multiple servers behind a load balancer, so the application might receive the request at multiple time. Let's say there are multiple users who are accessing the application. Okay, now um, now the request from users will land on different servers at different time. Okay, that means a user A who is accessing the application might land on server 1 and the request from user B might land on server 2. On the next time when the requests are coming, the request from B might land on server 1 and the request from user A might land on server 2. Okay, so this is not a defined thing. It's the task of your load balancer to route your incoming request. The load balancer will choose the appropriate server for serving your request based on the available load. Okay, now the same code base needs to be run on all the clone. Okay, so this is important um, because uh, your request might land on any of the clone machine, and it is important that your code should behave same irrespective of which user has sent you the request. Okay, so your application behavior will be consistent if you ensure the same code base is running on all your clones. Okay, so that's the very first rule. The second rule is servers don't maintain any shared state. By saying shared state, what I mean is, for an example, the session data or the user profile data. So you might know that whenever we log in, right, we create a session on server side. So in a session, we store some frequently accessible data, such as the username, then user profile picture, and some easily and frequently accessed data. Okay, and that session we create in the server. Okay, the server stores the session in its memory. Okay, and hence that's what we call as a shared state. Okay, so whenever any request come, server will refer its session data for for serving that request. Now whenever we maintain any shared state inside the server, it adds a limitation. How? Let's consider a scenario. Let's say we have put a load balancer in front of 5 servers. Now load balancer will take care of routing your request based on the load current load of each server. Now assume that a user A has logged in and that login request was processed by server 1. Now after login, let's say he is accessing the home page. The the next request will be received by the load balancer, and this time let's say load balancer has routed your request to a different server. Now that second server is not aware of your session data, so it will not process your request properly. Okay, the user was already authenticated by server 1 and the request needs to be processed by server 1 and not the second server. Okay, so what can we do to achieve this? So here the load balancer can help you. There is some configuration on load balancer with which we can achieve routing the request onto the appropriate server. So this is a kind of some some kind of overburden, right? The load balancer needs to do the decision of where to route the request based on where the session was created, right? So this is a limitation in this approach when we use any shared state on the server. Okay, so that's the golden rule of scaling using clone. Now how to achieve this? So the first task, that is deploying the same code on all the clone, can be achieved by using automated infra tool of deployment. And the second rule of avoiding the shared state can be achieved by using an external cache for maintaining the state. Okay, external cache means the external cache such as Redis or Memcached. Okay, so I hope this video was useful and have a happy scaling. Thank you.